What's up guys, this is G with TESBROS, and today we have a Tesla Model 3 behind me, the Midnight Silver Metallic, and we actually did PPF about a year and a half ago. However, it had a small accident, but it's not totaled, unlike my car Elsa. So today we are going to show you the process of how we do it in shop. It's slightly different from our kit, but it'll show you some of why people and shops charge a good amount of money to do PPF. Let's get to it. We have the front bumper here. It's all prepped. We've done a wash, a decontamination wash, clay bar, and then we got all the edges. So it's all ready to go. So the next step really is I have my roll right here. I'm just gonna put it right there. And you just wanna make sure that you have your slip solution. And hopefully throughout the process of watching this, you can kind of see the differences of why we made our kit the way it is, right? But what I'm doing right here is I'm just doing a quick clean, just a sweep. And whenever you do this process too, just make sure that you have a clean squeegee. I've already washed this, so this is a very, very clean and a new one. So I know it's good. It kind of gives me a last minute inspection too of this area and just making sure that I have all of this dust out of the way. One other thing about our kit, and this, I'm not really showing you our kit today since this is a shop install, but one of the differences is, for the bumper, it's really a massive one-piece install, and then there's a piece that goes right here. And that's a huge piece. It's like 80 or 90 inches. And when you have a piece that big, you have to be very, very careful about not trapping water, air, and all that stuff. Whereas our kit is compartmentalized or it's sectioned off, so it makes it really, really easy to release air, release water, and slip solution as you go. And honestly, if you're interested about learning about all this stuff, we actually have a whole course you can download for free. You just go to courses.tesbros.com. and then you'll have access to it. So you can see that I'm going to use something called a reverse roll method. It's a very, very popular technique in the PPF community, and what it is you roll it out all the way and you release the liner while you're doing that, okay? So there we go. So I got that. Can get a little challenging to get started, but once you do, you can see that this works. So I had a quick technical difficulty, so sorry about cutting, but pretty much you roll it out. I have Lauren helping me over here, and it's just kind of pulling it across, and then try to keep it flat. And we try our best. There we go. There we go, sorry. So one step, I'm gonna be honest with my mistake, is I forgot to weed the inside. And then go ahead and pull all the way. Awesome, and then just put it in the ground. Sometimes it's hard, when you're shooting a video to really think about every process. But that's what you want it to do, unlike me. So what I'm doing next is I'm just making sure, luckily though, one thing that I'm really lucky about is that I didn't really get anything sticking together. So that's gonna help me a lot as I do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just peel. Just make sure that I have slip solution underneath. And just a little bit information about slip and tack is that if you have a lot of, I guess like heat, typically it dries out a little bit faster. So you just have to watch out, whenever you're mixing your slip solution. And all you have to do is just add a little bit more soap. Cool, feel really good about that. Just gonna pull real quick. There we go. Nice. And then I have my bumper fixated pretty much. And at this point, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just going to be kind of like free aligning, just making sure that everything is in space. I talk a little bit about the slip, right? But you can see that everything is moving like this, and this is kind of what you want. And you want not big air pockets like this. So I'm gonna move this around just a little bit, make sure it's perfect. I feel pretty comfortable with this. And for templates like this, it's the same. Some professional installers do something called bulk, and that requires a lot more experience, a lot more time. But essentially you're using a giant piece of bulk film and putting over it. And this is kind of like the template, and then our kit is more segmented, so it becomes a lot easier. What tack does is it just kind of activates kind of the area a lot faster. So I'm going to go ahead and tack that area. Cool, that had a good amount of tack. And then from then on, I go usually down here. So you see my film is still moving perfectly. So that's about where I want it. So what I do is I go from that top area and I go down to that area right there. That's just how I like to do it. I know other people like to do it differently. Make sure that I have enough slip. And if you notice, what I did was I put slip from the top, and because it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down, so it typically should be good. And what I'm doing is I'm just moving material and just kind of getting comfortable about where I should move this area. And the goal is right here, is this right there, but try to get rid of as much fingers as possible right here. So for our kit, just for comparison, this actually lays flat, so you don't get any of this fingers. So you don't even have to worry about any of that. So then I move this from the top really, right here. Like I said, you're just gonna spray some, just a little bit of tack, and I just hold it there. Oops, the other way. I just hold that right there. And then you see, tack is awesome because it just literally tacks. Cool. So I have my line right here, and then from here on out I can move my squeegee down this path, okay? And then now that all these points are done, this is where you would move all the water down the center. And I like dealing with this right here because there's a lot of water trapped right there. And I like to get rid of it if I can. And there's some fingers that's persisting up here. So just gonna get that out. And I have this modified version of a template that we have. And what it is it has that flap right here, so it goes above that. I guess it folds over the edges. That's the difference. So once we're good, a lot of times the body line right here is where water kind of sits. So I'm really focusing on that area. Make sure you have a lot of slip solution. And then you heard that, right? That means that there's not enough. I'm gonna change my spray so it goes up. And you can see, I'm gonna go ahead, just spray a lot of slip solution all the way up there. And then I feel pretty good about that. And then I'm gonna make sure that this is aligned and it looks good, and that does look good. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean that out. And then you see I move all the material. And when you do this process, you just need to make sure that you have enough, probably go a little wider, but enough slip solution so it lubricates down. So again, this gets really fun because you get to bring all the water down now. So one thing to note is, this is good to see, is I had a dry spot right there. So I tried to get it out without moving it, but I had to kind of move it just a tad bit. But you can see it's not a problem. No need to panic. I think that's one thing, is like, this definitely teaches you patience, because, I don't know, and you also learn not to panic over small things. And then once you have this aligned, this is good. Put that in space. Cool. I can finally bring that down. There you go. Yep. I like to start this way. Again, this is not the only way. There's so many different ways you can do this. But this is how I do it if I'm dealing with this particular template. And then you see there's that air pocket, no worries. Let's do the, you can be a little bit aggressive here. But you can see that we're pretty good. And then what I recommend always, 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 is you just want to go through that area one more time, because you'll miss something, guarantee you. Even me, I try to be very, very, I guess, intentional about my strokes. But even then, I'll be like, oh man, I missed that right there. So even in our do-it-yourself video, we always recommend, you know, like, go over it one more time just in case, because that's really gonna save you in the long term, because you definitely don't want to go back an hour later and then realize that, oh, you missed that area. And immediately I saw during that process a dry spot right there. And this is the reason why we do it like this too. Or not a dry spot, there was a bubble. You know, I'm so close to the edge, so I'm gonna get it out right away. So when you do have that, all you have to do is just spray some slip solution and get it out. And like I said, for this section, I do move a lot faster if I'm being honest, but you see that's a dry spot right there. But since we are doing a video, it's okay. We can go a little bit slower so you guys can kind of see the process and follow with me as well. Want to just get a microfiber, be careful on the edges. We're going to do a quick wipe down in that area. And what you do during this process is, I have a light, like this is like my light that I usually use. And you're just going to inspect. Again, if you don't do this now, it's going to get to it later, and then that's when you're like, oh crap, I saw something. So this is where I'll check. Feel pretty good about that. So now I'm going to go ahead and get all these fingers out. And part of the reason why I love having this flat is I'm able to hold it and grab it and distribute some of that fingers a little bit better. And I use the same squeegee, and the trick here is going to be going sideways. And then so you want to spray some tack solution within that area. I usually do like 1 or 2 at a time, and then you go kind of sideways. Oh, if that happens, no worries. And I kind of hold this like this. There you go. I'm going very slow though. I don't go fast here, because what happens if you go too fast, you could kind of crease it up, and creases, if it could be a permanent crease. You can see that I'm going a little bit past the edge because I don't want it to come back down, okay? So I'm dealing with that right now. But same thing here, I'm just gonna do a final inspection right here. Grab my light. And this is so important. A little water right there. I'm gonna go ahead and do this side. There you go. So, yeah. All right, so that part is flat. So I kind of do that. And then same thing here, guys, body line. So you see how I'm focusing and squeegeeing right in that body line? It's exactly what you want. Again, I don't know, I just get really focus on that line, right? And then after that, you can work your way down. And this is a fairly easy section. And you see the alignment looks really, really good in that area. There's a little chip right there, so I'm gonna have to grab that later. It's okay as it dries out. And then same thing here. Awesome. So feel really good about that. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the other side. All right, here we go. So this is kind of what I mean by our kit. Like, this is a huge piece, and now, you know, I'm having to like do one section at a time. So ours is like all separate, and it's a little bit more seamy, but there's so much more release points, right? What I mean by that is like you could go up, you could go side, you could go down. So it just makes it a lot easier, especially for someone who's never done this before. All right, cool. So like I said, I got all the middle done, and we're gonna go ahead and do the top part, I guess, or on the side. And right here. And same process. You hear that sound, that means that it's been drying. But like I said, my point was right here, right? So I'm gonna make sure I spray a lot, but this was where I kind of stopped right there. So I'm gonna make sure that it's good. Cool, right there. So there's two alignment points right here. One is gonna be up here, and then the next one's gonna be up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and focus on kind of both at the same time. And you're going to be squeegeeing from there down to that line, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and I got that squeegee. And then from here, we'll go ahead and try to align that point right there. Awesome. So you see, once you stretch it properly, there's no fingers that come around the headlight area. And just making sure that all areas are squeegeed. And again, I've compartmentalized or segmented right there. It's kind of a one-step fold, or like all at once. And you see all these fingers? That will kind of release itself once you bring that down, right? So watch this. Once you bring that down, you see all the fingers go away. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray some tack. Awesome. Oh, one thing to keep in mind that you have to watch out for too is you never want to go into a tacked area. So you see how I tack this? You never want to push the water back down, because essentially what tack does is it anchors that section. So if you put more slip solution, what's going to happen is water or other things can get trapped right there. So you definitely want to watch out for that whenever you're using tack. All right, so I already did all that section. It's aligned. It's perfect. Feel good about that. No fingers. And then, oh, one finger, sorry. Cool. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tack this, just because very important point right here. All right, so lastly, right here. All right, and what I'm doing is, it's a small stretch, but I'm essentially just stretching it so that there's no fingers across right here at the bottom. You may not see it, but there are fingers. And then there's this pocket. And then you want to clean up the edges right here. It's going to fold over slightly. And essentially just, and that's pretty much how you do that side. But I'm going to go ahead and just cut this thing out. Toe hook. Oh, one really good tip too. Actually, I shouldn't cut while talking. One really good tip too is don't drink coffee right before installing PPF. But I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get the bottom part because I haven't yet. All right, so I'm gonna just stress this again for like the 50th time. This is like where a lot of the water and bubbles just love to sit. So I'm gonna go ahead and really focus right there before I really squeegee that down. So you see I'm really focusing on getting some of that. Okay. Oh, there's something. So now that we have all the rest done, pretty much the last step is that for this particular, and most template kits will be like this, is that it goes a bottom piece all the way across and it connects with the other piece. So just like earlier, let's go ahead and clean this area. Okay. And for this, it's the same method, but this time I did it right. And what I mean by that is I'm doing the reverse roll method, but in this case, I only put slip in the middle because that's going to be dry area. And then also I peeled the outer areas. So that was the mistake I made earlier. Just totally forgot about that. Cool. And exactly like that. And then whenever you get to a point where there's an angle, just be careful, but that's not a problem. It's not. And then go ahead and keep rolling. You get to that point and just keep rolling. And that's how you do a reverse roll method. But you're going to go ahead and just spray again. And this is what you want to avoid, is that sticking together. So, and essentially you're starting on one side, stretching across to the other, right? So let's start with here. And this is called a butt seam, so do your best to align this right here. Boom, right there. Perfect. Feel really good about that. And you're just going to squeegee that. And then making sure that it's not overlapping. That's really the main key for these, is that you just don't want to make sure that it's overlapping. Okay, so we'll go ahead for some flip. And then I want to tack that once you feel good. Awesome. And then I only tack that corner, so all of this should be free for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom as well, might as well, because I'm here. Awesome. So I got all of that down now, and that's aligned to that piece. And you're gonna line this side. Awesome. So from here on out, because of that stretch, it wants to actually grab that lip. And that's exactly what you want to do. So I guess it'd be easier this way. So I can see a little bit better without blocking the view. Again, when you do this, I kind of try to really focus on that area first before I really bring that lip down. So just want to make sure. And then before I really seal that area, I'm just really going to make sure that all moisture is out this area. So whenever I use a microfiber, what this does is it grabs that moisture so that it doesn't come back, right? So I'm kind of going over it and then kind of grabbing the moisture from that area, and that helps. And then I'm gonna just lubricate that top part. This is fun part, but you're gonna go ahead and try to grab all the fingers, and I use alcohol, my tack solution, and then we can go ahead and just really I might as well get that top area. And let me see if I could go ahead and just start folding over the edges a little bit more. So guys, the bumper is actually all done. The next step is really, I wait about an hour at least, but what we need to do is just tuck in all the edges, which is like the top part that I just folded over. All the way in the sides, I'm gonna be folding over so you have better coverage. And then there's a little bit of in that fog light area. Lastly, after it's about a 30-minute inspection period. So if I need to trim something or if I need to check something, and I also trim out all the autopilot sensors. And there's some debate there, but typically I just don't want to risk. So this is part of the autopilot function, and also your parking sensors and all that, the ultrasonic. So I just don't want to risk it, so I just cut around it. and I'll show you some of that process in about an hour. So first of all, what you want to do is there's a couple edges like here, and you can use heat. You don't always have to use heat. For example, it's dried, so I'm just going to use my finger and I'm going to roll that edge over just so that it kind of tucks in like so. And that's really all we need to do. And then I'm going to be doing for that side as well, so I'm going to tuck that. And the other thing that we want to do is we do have to cut out the sensors. And what I like to do is I like to actually use like a little white dot. And the reason why I do this is because if you have this and it's centered, I have a reference for me when I'm cutting it. So I'm going to go ahead and add all the dots, and then I will go ahead and cut it. And I'm not going to show you like all of them cutting. I typically don't recommend doing the cutting part yourself, since it does require some, actually a good amount of experience to be comfortable cutting on a car. But, you know, the difference though is that, you know, like our kit, there's absolutely no cutting whatsoever. And so the sensor holes are actually already cut. So all you would have to do is to just line it up. So I'm going to go ahead and use some heat. Cool. Go ahead and grab my light. This is going to be helpful. I can't really see that well without it. And then I'm going to go inside the body line. So I'm again not touching the actual paint of the car or even the car. There's I guess like a space in between, and I'm just going to face away so I'm never touching the body, and then going to trim. Like I said, there's some excess I need to work on right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let this dry a little bit longer. So I'm going to leave that, but you can see that this is pretty much all tucked in, and I want to go ahead and clean that up just a little bit. So it does wrap around the edges. Once I get to the actual sensor part, that's where I'm going to start first since the camera is already here. One thing, always get a brand new blade. A lot of times what happens is when you're clicking in and out, it's a bad habit, honestly. It's actually wearing down your blade. So every single time I start a new sensor or a new car or even a new cutting area, I just get a new blade. So I want to go ahead and grab one. And there are a lot of blades out there. I use the NT cutter. It's a very, very popular blade in the PPF community. You can buy it real cheap. And very, very easy to install as well. Go ahead and put it down. There we go. And then I'm just going to click it and go ahead and break it. And then when I break it, just make sure that you grab the piece and you dispose it properly. So now that I have a brand new blade, I should be solid. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And the way you want to do is it's actually really hard to do a circle. And the pattern that you want is like I do a half moon and then I do another half moon. And this white is really helping us. White to, you know, the dark color of the car is going to help us kind of see better. So if it's a white car, I have a black dot and so on. So I'm going to go ahead, just keep this right here. And you're just scoring this, by the way. You're not going super hard. Okay, so I know where I started and where I ended, and from here on out. So that's pretty much it. And then after that, what you want to do is you just want to start it, kind of, and then you just pull real hard, and you kind of go around it. And grab that, and look at that. almost a perfect circle. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started a while back, with the sensors, I thought you had to kind of go like inside, but honestly, you want to give it a little bit more space around that avoids, the dirt buildup, especially it's right in the edge. So I actually come a little bit in outside, and that's really, really important when you are cutting that. So we're not gonna show you every single one, but that's pretty much a process. I'm gonna go ahead and get all the sensors out. That pretty much sums it up. The whole bumper is ready to go. And again, the difference between this is our kit actually has a bunch of seams, in the areas that you kind of saw me stretch a lot. Like for example, there's no fingers or wrinkles that come out on the top and so on. It just makes it a lot easier. But if you have any questions, just let us know in the comments below. And maybe, do you want a pro kit version of it? Let us know too. We're thinking about it, but we want to hear what you think about it. So if you thought this content was helpful, click on that red button and subscribe to our channel, because that will help us create a lot more content like this. We got a lot to do. We're gonna get this puppy back down. We'll see you later.